Welcome to the Transform Your Workplace podcast. I've got Lacey Partipilo with me for a very special bonus episode. It's probably not going to release on a normal Tuesday. We're just getting this out as soon as possible. And that topic is coronavirus. It's the most talked about thing right now in the workplace and personal lives, our kids' schools. I'm getting emails and texts daily, it seems like. You turn on the news, you turn on the radio, it's being talked about. So we thought I'd bring on Lacey and we talk about what you're telling clients. You just said before we started recording that, I mean, you just got how many emails?
4 emails yesterday asking, what are we supposed to be doing with coronavirus with employees?
Yeah, and that's a good place to start. So, well, maybe let's back up. What is the coronavirus? You don't have to get all scientific on me because I know you're not a scientist, and we don't want to be wrong here on this, but we're perfectionists here, so we're not going to be wrong. What is it? Just give me a broad sense for what is it and how worried do we need to be?
Sure. I mean, it's a virus similar to the flu. It's spread from people coming into contact with other folks that are infected with it. Cough is one symptom. Fever is another symptom. Shortness of breath is a symptom. All of those things could feel like a cold or feel like the regular flu. So I think that's why people are nervous, and it's regular flu season right now too. So there's just a heightened awareness of it.
And is it spreading really fast? Is that the concern?
That's what we're seeing.
Yeah.
I don't have the statistics on that, but I know here in Oregon there are folks that are have been affected.
Really
in
close by,
Washington.
a couple exits up on I-5 in Lake Oswego.
It's true. So I think there's just people are nervous about it, especially our clients that are local here, because it hits home. You know, when it's down in California, it's like, that's not here. And being in your backyard, it feels a little bit more real.
Yeah. When it seems like other countries are taking humongous preventative measures, like I'm a huge sports fan, and so I think it's like soccer stadiums, they're playing them empty, like they won't even allow fans to go into the stadium out of fear that they're going to spread it that way. So like you can have a bunch of soccer players playing in an empty stadium. Like how weird would that be? It's going to be like a practice. But I mean, this is all true of schools too. Like they're shutting down schools and telling people to stay home. So do you think we're going to reach that point in the United States?
I don't know. You know, the recommendations that we are following are the ones from the CDC. And we do have clients that have employees that travel, and some that travel to China or travel to other parts of the country. And so the questions have been like, do we stop that travel? What if an employee wants to go anyways? What if we don't want the employees to go? What if we need them to go and they don't want to go? So I think for us, the impact is really around, and the conversations that we're having are more about how is it going to impact the business? What if employees can't work? What if the business has to shut down? What if one of the counties makes a recommendation that people stay home? Some of that is happening in other parts of the country.
Yeah, what if organizations aren't even set up to be able to do that?
There's a lot that
like an organization like us, when we process payroll for clients, you can't just shut down, right? Like, and there's other organizations just like that where it's like other organizations rely on you and you can't literally just shut down. Like if our whole payroll staff or benefits staff, what would we do? People got to get paid. There's ramifications that are well beyond the walls of our organization. That's why, like, I think we're playing it. The United States is probably playing a little bit more cautiously.
I think so.
Try not to freak people out too much, but at the same time, there has to be preventative things that we're doing.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we talk a lot on the podcast about remote work, and now I think people are really paying attention to it because if you want to keep business moving, do you have the ability to have people remote work? And we have folks here that would be very, very difficult. I have a lot of clients that are in industrial industries, and the work that people do is with their hands on a shop floor. And so that's not going to happen from home. And there's financial impact to employees. There's financial impact to the business. Customers are impacted. And so I could just see this downstream effect if businesses really do have to close or there are recommendations to close.
Think about like the economy like stops essentially. Like
that's pretty dire, but it could. I mean, it could. Yeah.
Well, okay. Here's a micro example. So Tyler, our colleague, he walked into my office yesterday and he's like, "Hey, think about getting a new laptop." And so he's showing me these models he's looking at. So we went on I don't know if you pronounce it Asus or Asus or whatever. He called it Asus. So that's the brand, right?
Yeah.
Chinese, I think Chinese or Taiwanese brand, one of the two.
Probably can't get one right now, right?
Oh, I went on the website. all the models temporarily out of stock.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes to show you that the production is halted and probably didn't have enough inventory, or maybe they make them on demand as you customize them. I don't really know how
There's nobody there.
There's nobody there. They're all home.
Yeah.
So that's
scary.
That's the reality. I mean, that's a laptop, but when you think about food production, think about.
Well, there are stores that are like sold out of things. So somebody was talking about they went to Costco and there's no toilet paper.
How could you live without toilet paper?
I mean, I don't know where that's manufactured.
I guess you have to go with the 1-ply instead of the 2-ply. Or?
I have no idea, but I do think, one of the recommendations that I've been telling clients about is, encourage employees to be thinking about the long term. So stock up on your medicine, stock up on those like really important things like toilet paper that your house can't live without. Yeah, the non-perishable stuff. Yeah. You want to be responsible, but not necessarily overreact. And so I feel like there's sort of a balance. And employees are looking to their employer to be communicating what's going on, that they are paying attention to it, that we do care about your well-being. And so I think communication from employer to employee is really important right now.
I agree. You mentioned that when employers are reaching out to us, you're basically following the CDC's recommendations. Mm-hmm. What is the CDC telling us?
I mean, we're providing information about proper hand washing techniques and recommending that those things to be washing your hands for at least 30 seconds.
Oh God.
I
need to work on that.
And hand sanitizer too. So having hand sanitizer available, I think that's one of the things that, and the masks, like the medical masks.
Yeah, are people using
which what I've heard is that actually doesn't help, and it isn't really preventing the spread of this, but they're like sold out. You can't get them if you go on Amazon or other places.
Get out of here.
That's what I've heard. I haven't gone on to check myself, but washing your hands, having hand sanitizer available. I know in my daughter's school, they've sent out notices about making sure that you're encouraging your kids to be washing their hands. So telling them when you're at school, you need to be doing this. Before kids are coming in for lunch, they're all getting hand sanitizer, so that just trying to prevent the spread of it is important. Stay home if you're sick. So that's probably the biggest thing that we're encouraging, and that can have a financial impact to an employee who doesn't have sick time or doesn't have PTO. And this isn't maybe necessarily going to flip over to be like a longer term benefit, like a short term disability. I suppose it could if you were out for long enough. But stay home so that you're not spreading those germs. I did have a client ask me if they could require someone who they knew was ill and they knew had a fever to be tested. And
really,
and I thought that was interesting, and I see where they're coming from. You don't want to spread it. That particular employer has a few employees who are expecting babies, and so there's a heightened sort of feeling of being responsible to make sure that those employees are safe and those expectant moms don't get sick. Mm-hmm. And so got a legal recommendation on that actually yesterday. And I think our clients should consult with their own legal counsel, but we're really trying to recommend, stay home till you don't have symptoms. I think I would be recommending a couple days post-symptom, so after you've had a fever, if you can work remote. If you're requiring employees to stay home, best practice would be to pay them. So if they're out of sick time and they're ready to come back, but you feel more comfortable with them being home, pay them for those couple days. Unless you're certain that someone has been infected and they've shared that with you, going through that process of requiring testing, I don't think that we've gotten to that point yet.
I read somewhere, I don't know if this is accurate, I don't want to spread fake news, but I'd read somewhere like flu or just not bacteria, but like the germs that like could be on a surface, right? Like you cough, germs go all over the table. It could like the minimum amount of time it will survive is like 2 hours, and
then it's dead.
As long as 9 days, though.
This is 9 days. The coronavirus is 9 days.
Meaning, like if there's like you touch a handle and you got a virus on you, like the germs could stay there for up to 9 days before it dies.
Yeah.
So I mean, it just shows the importance of like washing your hands
and washing surfaces. So like I think about that.
I have disinfectant.
Wipe. That's another thing that stores don't have is like the Clorox wipes and the sanitary wipes. I know my daughter's school, we're trying to like send that stuff in so teachers can be wiping stuff down, because I think teachers are having to purchase those items
That's a great point.
themselves.
Yeah. Employers should be doing that, like maybe in every hallway.
I see that in my clients.
Meeting spaces, conference rooms, like have a
near phones that people pick up, like the
Great
conference
idea.
room phones.
Especially
I would think some even like alcohol wipes, something to wipe things down, because 9 days is a really long time. I know my son's daycare, they spent the weekend like deep cleaning over this last weekend. And even when I picked him up yesterday, the teachers were spraying and wiping toys and things down at the end of the day. They're like, we are not taking any chances.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a good lesson. I mean, my kids have already started talking about it. I'm like, it's the importance of washing your hands. And like, so they're thinking about it. I think these are obviously terrible situations. Right. But the silver lining is that we take preventative measures and we start thinking about it more.
And there's some education, I think, too. Just disaster preparedness planning for employers is important. And it's sort of like one of those things that you don't want to talk about because it's scary and it's uncomfortable, and it could have a negative impact on the business if there was a natural disaster or some other kind of disaster. But having those kinds of plans is part of safety planning. So working with a safety consultant, we work with Safety Northwest to partner with our clients to come up with those plans. Here in the Northwest, I mean, we talk about earthquakes too. So it's all of that.
Don't even talk about that.
It's all of that stuff that just having a plan. What's the business going to do? Who are the employees that can work remote? What's that look like? So that business can, continue and employees can get paid. That's sort of the two things I'd be thinking about.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else that you can think of from your perspective that you're telling clients?
No, I just, we're going to continue to provide information as we receive it. We're paying attention, like I said, to the CDC guidelines, for the guidelines that we're getting from SHRM, and all of our business partners are sharing information. So as we're learning things from one another, from health insurance carriers that are providing information, we're really doing a lot of knowledge share right now because this is new for us too. So as we learn more, I think we'll continue to share that.
And we have a blog post with all the latest updates. It's actually content that you've sent clients. I just kind of grabbed that and repurposed it a little bit. And as you guys send updates, we'll make sure to update that blog post with all the freshest updates. So I'll put a link in the show notes for this episode. And for listeners who want to get more information all in one spot, we'll have links to all the necessary places. So thanks for coming on, Lacey. I really appreciate it.